Well, a family road trip is a popular summer pastime, but holidaymakers are being reminded to remain vigilant and not let any exotic pests come along for the ride. The agriculture sector is worth $23.1 billion to New South Wales alone. Joining me now is State Agriculture Minister Dugald Saunders. Dugald, thanks for your time this morning. Tell me, how can travellers best assist in protecting the agriculture industry as they travel around New South Wales and across the country?
Thanks, Christy. It's a really important thing to do, is to make sure you've got that in the back of your mind. And one of the simple messages is to check your load, make sure you don't have a toad before you leave where you're heading back home. And we know that cane toads are one of those major threats that we have, particularly if you're holidaying anywhere in Queensland or in the north, because of the fact that they very easily fit into all sorts of different circumstances, sleeping bags or swags or under caravans, trailers, you name it, they can hitchhike a ride. And we've seen, unfortunately, a bit of a spread of that over recent times. In fact, only last month, there was a male cane toad found at Tathra that was suspected to have hitched a ride with somebody and made its way down there. So the alert is out to check your load for a toad, but there's also other animals. And we've seen in 2022 a range of lizards. We've seen pythons, like a Burmese python, 4 metre long, found in the Sydney sort of area. We've had more cane toads around the Central Coast. We've had iguanas, we've had corn snakes, tortoises, you name it, we've seen it. So exotic animals are around. Unfortunately, there is a bit of an illegal trade that goes on. But I guess the message is, if you see anything that feels unusual, seems unusual, we really want you to report it. There is a hotline number to call, and that's 1-800-680-244.
And you mentioned some of the threats there, but what are some of the biggest threats that people should be keeping an eye out for?
Look, I think at the moment, really, it is cane toads. We've seen, unfortunately, a few arrive into Sydney metropolitan areas, as in suburbs and ovals. We've seen them arrive on the south coast. We've seen them in places in the central west and western areas like Dubbo, and we've seen them around the central coast. So cane toads are one of those things at the moment we are on absolutely high alert for, and they are really good at just hiding away somewhere and then emerging later on. They can survive really well, and suddenly you've got them popping up all over the place if you haven't done that thing of checking your load. So cane toads are the number one thing we're looking for, and it's a pretty simple reminder that when you pack up your tent or your camper trailer or your caravan, before you drive away or as you're packing up, just check everything. Make sure you're not carrying an accidental passenger with you. It'll only take you an extra 5 minutes, but it can make a significant difference, because unfortunately, with some of these exotic pests, once they get in, they're very hard to get rid of, and they have a really detrimental effect to our native species, and also can play a really bad role and a destructive role in agriculture, which, as you mentioned, is worth just over $23 billion to New South Wales. So we've all got a role to play, and we can all do that by just checking things before we head back from holidays.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us a little bit about the Protect What We Love campaign.
Yeah, look, this is about protecting our agriculture and our beautiful state of New South Wales. And it's really just a bit of a social media awareness campaign we're running through the Department of Primary Industries, just to alert people, remind people of the value that we do place on all of our food and fibre, our incredible agriculture that really provides so much to New South Wales and, in fact, Australia. So we can all do our little bit. So there's lots of just little messages around how to make sure you're doing the right thing. And if you do see something, there's the DPI website or local land services websites, and there's also that hotline number. You can also take a photo of things and send it into the website through one of the forms available. So there's lots of ways you can interact, and we can all definitely play a role in this.
Absolutely, it's very important. Dugald Saunders, thank you so much for your time this morning.